Coming up today on the Curious City podcast.
And to add salt into injuries, his wife has also left him.
Then he has to understand also the power of not carrying his past along with him.
I mean, I was in prison for 26 years, so if I could do it, anybody could do it. Yeah.
Prison for 26 years.
Yeah, so I was... I didn't teach myself victory first. I taught myself failure. I taught myself how to fail. And people are like, that's so depressing. Is it?
Have you ever wondered why some people rise above unimaginable pain while others crumble under the weight of adversity? Is it luck? Is it strength? Or it could be something deeper? Well, today we are delving into the power of mindset, a force that can transform darkness into light and despair into hope. And I'll start off by taking you into a real personal story, of which I know is going to be quite emotional. You see, a friend of mine is facing an insurmountable challenges. He is battling a health condition which has turned him into an economic burden. He is completely down and out. And to add salt into injuries, his wife has also left him. Right at the point where the going seemed tough and everything went south. He is left to face his demons all alone. So he reached out to me asking for assistance to help him get back on his feet. And in helping him and anybody out there going through tough times, we start off with a mind. The mindset, our greatest arsenal laying within us. That is why in this episode, we seek to learn and discuss the concept of mindset. What is mindset? How does it shape our reality? And how can someone like this guy who has lost everything, including his will to live, how can he develop the mindset to overcome adversities and even the thought of ending it all? My people, I have a lot to share with you today on this subject of mindset, but we will start off with a conversation I had with another friend called Mr. Wilfred on his thoughts on the story and the concept of mindset. Let's take a listen to Mr. Wilfred, and I will be back to share with you other resources and materials. Don't go away. I will be right back.
Yeah, Mustafa, when they talk about mindset, to be somebody's mindset is never complete. You can never be somebody's mindset complete. Mindset can never be complete because the richest person on earth also is still working on his mindset, because we need to develop the mindset to adapt to the system. The world is changing, so our mindset need to change also. You understand now? So the mindset I had 10 years ago is still the same mindset I had today. The one I had before we started having this discussion is different from the one I have now. Now we are discussing the discussion. It will be different from the one we are going to have after the discussion. You understand now? So now, the issue is that the first thing now, when you talk, as I mentioned about mindset, okay, now you need to first of all let the person understand that this life is more than what he sees in his eyes. Yeah, this life is more than what we see. He has to understand that this life is like a system. There's more to this life than what sees the eyes. There's more to this life than what sees the life. You need to let the person know. He has to come to the reality that he wants to change. He wants a change. We call this one self-deliverance. He has to come to himself, make up his mind that he wants to change. That no matter what comes his way, he wants to change. That how far his mistake has gone, no further shall his mistake continue. Then he has to understand also the power of not carrying his past along with him. He should not carry his past along with him. He should let go of the past and face the future. Yeah, he should let go of the past and face the future. He has to understand that once he has kicked, there's no going back. Whatever comes, he has to manage it the way it should be. There's no turning back. Forward ever, backward never. There's no turning back. So these are the things that he has to take. We call it personal decisions that he has to take. Yeah. He's only working on his mind. He has to make this decision. But he has to understand also that failure is part of what he's going to do. There's a price to pay, and failure is part of it. So let him not come to think that as you are going to because now you want to mentor him in such a way that you want to invest in him. You want to establish him or give him capital. So he has to know that whatever he is going through, failure is part of it. But let him see the failure as a stepping stone to learn more. There will be distraction, but let him see the distraction like a stepping stone to learn more. Then he should never stop learning. The more he knows, the more he should want to know. The more he has, the more he should desire to have. So these are the things that you need to let him know before even giving him any dime. Like telling him how telling him on how to spend the money is another case. But now we're talking of the mindset. So all these things, when you are discussing these things with him, sitting him down, talking with him face to face, now you have begun to work his mindset. The first thing, most important, is that he should forget whatever has happened in his life. He should know that where he is at the moment, he can start from there. There's never a place or a position to go and start. Wherever he is at that moment, he can start from there. So he has to know all these things. Forget about what has happened, what he is going through at the moment. He should face what he wants. If he wants where you are, he should know that there's a price to pay to be where you are. And it is not a day job. It's a gradual process. It's a process. He has to know that it is a process. It's not a day job. He has to run before he starts to fly. There's nothing that can just get up like that and start to fly. There must be something, a process for it to fly. Even a helicopter, there must be a process for the turbine to boot to a level of which it will enable the helicopter to fly. The plane has to run with enough capacity to be able to take it up to the sky. So this hard life also it is. There's more to life than what what the eye sees. So this now discussing this thing with him now, you are beginning to be his mindset. He's like introduction before handing him any money or whatever you want to give to him or the business idea. So it's like mentorship. Really, his idea is like mentorship. You are mentoring him, but now you don't have to mentor him and end there. If you read introduction, doesn't mean that you know already all about the story. Introduction means it's just to allow you on what you are going to face inside. Yeah, it is telling you that what you are going to face inside. Now, when you go inside, now already you know that chapter 1 was telling me about this. Now, this is reality now of what I had in chapter 1. Now, you don't have to allow him on that introduction. As long as the business now is going, Now you you keep on introducing different method, because if you tell the person about how to start the business, you need also to continue. When he has started the business, you need to tell him also on how to run the business, how to face difficulties. So the mindset is not something that he will just learn today. It is a process. You also telling him at the same time also you are adding something in your mindset. I remember you once said that you need to add something every day. Every day you need to add something. Studies, whatever, you need to add something. So the person has to go out of his comfort zone. This is one of the most important. Mindset, you have to go out of your comfort zone. You can never achieve what you want in your comfort zone. There must be a scar. There must be a track record. So this talking with him like that is building his mindset.
From what Mr. Wilfred shared, one key takeaway stands out. Mindset isn't a destination, it keeps evolving. And to help oneself out of pain and misery, the person must first accept failure as part of the process, the building process, and make a personal decision to strive for change, no matter how dire the circumstances are. Mr. Wilfred also emphasized the importance of learning and studying to take charge of our lives. A sentiment echoed in the work of Dr. Carol Dweck. Dr. Carol Dweck is a psychology professor at Stanford University, and she explored this transformative idea in her groundbreaking book, Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. She identifies two core mindsets that define how we view our potential, which is the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. She elaborates on to say, individuals with a fixed mindset believe that their abilities, intelligence, and talent are static. They focus on proving themselves rather than improving themselves. For example, you hear people of fixed mindset say, I can't be successful because I'm not good at public speaking, because I'm not skilled at this, because I'm not skilled at that, or I failed as a musician, so I must not be talented. This fixed mindset often leads to avoiding challenges and fearing of failure, as it threatens their sense of self-worth. On the flip side, individuals with a growth mindset believe that abilities and intelligence can be cultivated through effort, learning, and perseverance. They embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and see failure as a stepping stone to success. You hear people of growth mindset say, I'm not good at this yet, but I can learn on it, or I will find a different path to achieve my goal. The people of growth mindset fosters resilience, adaptability, and a willingness to take risk. Studies show that students with a growth mindset outperform their peers because they work harder and learn from their mistakes. And this principle applies to all aspects of life, not just academics alone. To illustrate the power of growth mindset, let's turn to Dr. Viktor Frankl's incredible story. You see, in 1942, Dr. Frankl and his family were sent to the Nazi concentration camps. Amidst the horrors, starvation, and loss, Dr. Frankl held on to one fundamental belief, which is everything can be taken from a man except one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This belief, paired with Nietzsche's word, in quote, He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow.
That's right.
These words became the guiding light for Dr. Frankl, and he used his suffering in prison as a fuel to recreate his life work, which was confiscated from him when he arrived in Auschwitz. And he had imagined conversations with his wife. He created a voice in his head to have an imagined conversations with his wife, which gave him the strength and the courage to sail through. And through this, he survived. He survived the unimaginable and later developed logotherapy, a framework to help others find meaning in their lives and their suffering. You see, for more on the works of Dr. Frankl and his prison life, I will highly recommend his book, Man's Search for Meaning. Dr. Frankl's story is just one example of the power of mindset. But this concept isn't confined to history. It's alive today. Check this out. Here is a man who embodies hard work, discipline, and mental toughness. He had a very, very rough and challenging childhood. But regardless of what life threw at him, he made a conscious decision to create the mindset of a demigod and went on a solo journey through the underworld to face his demons all alone and found his ideal self. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a listen to him as he shares his mindset process with Dr. Andrew Huberman on the Huberman podcast. My people, I present to you David Goggins, the hardest man alive.
Man, what built this guy? Let's imagine being in the coldest water you can possibly take. I always go back to Hell Week with this. I hated the water. Hated it. You're sitting there locked arms and you're in the water all the time. And they're bringing you in and out of the water. In and out of the water. When you have this dialogue in your head, and these people are judging me off of a freaking 1-minute video, and you're constantly your whole life, when you figured it out, 24, that I just gotta, this fucking gotta, and this is just gonna suck. Every day is gonna suck. And live like that. To be better. And I put it this way, I'm in the water is going over my head, the Pacific Ocean, you know it's freezing. February, cold as shit. Been through 3 hell weeks. For you to constantly win, when this voice over here, the real you, is saying, get the fuck out of here. Go. You're nobody. You've always been nobody. And it's true. People don't hear that. That's a true voice. That's the real reality of David Goggins at 24 years old. It's not a false reality. And then you had to create another voice over here that is saying you're better than that other voice. And you're in the freezing cold water that both voices don't want to fucking be in. But you win. And it goes from the water to the studying, to the running, to losing weight, to how you eat, to how you function as a man. Every day of your life, you're winning these battles. And then I have normal people who only have one voice. Never created the second voice. The winning voice is the second voice. They have one voice. And that's just, I'm a piece of shit. And that's all they hear. And then they judge people like me, who are out here trying to be better. It's something that I can never really, it's a frustrating thing for me. Because I know the majority of people. I know what goes on in the brain because I studied the mind more than you. Because I'm a practitioner. So for you to be a piece of shit and come out of that, you don't just come out of it. You spend decades studying your mind and the human mind on how it functions in good environments, bad environments, stressful environments, patient environment. You study it all because you have to put all this together to create the mind to become successful. So I had to, it was like God blessed me with this brain. I had to create a mind. And so in doing so, I figured out every piece of shit human being in the world because that's what I was going off of for myself. So I know why you go on Instagram. I know why because you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. So I know why I'm misunderstood. I'm misunderstood by people who have plenty of time on their hands to misunderstand me because they are exactly where I once was, which is a low-life, lazy piece of shit. And it's the harsh reality of people who troll you, who go after you. They have nothing better to do with their lives. It's not some after-school special. It's the truth by once was that way. I know where it all comes from. That's why it's frustrating to me now, because I'm not so frustrated at the fact that I'm being trolled. I'm frustrated by the fact that you don't have the courage to try to be somebody better than what you're not. And that's the frustrating part.
From what David Goggins is sharing, it goes to prove what we have discussed so far, which is mindset is constantly evolving and it's not a destination. And he goes on to say, we need to learn how to create the inner voice, just like Dr. Frankl was talking to his wife in his head. But David Goggins says, in the process of creating the mindset, the growth mindset, you are also going to have your angel and your demons, your devil, both speaking to you at the same time, which is the internal dialogue. So now you are going to learn how to differentiate between the winning voice and the failing voice. And in the whole process, you are going to change drastically. You will be so obsessed and you will have to forego a whole lot of stuffs. That is when people will start misunderstanding you. Some people will even go to the point of trolling you, judging you, and even making fun of you. But you've got to keep going, bro. You've got to keep going, because this is the price to pay for greatness.
That's right.
And he also goes on to share something that I believe comes to the basis of this whole discussion, which is trying to help a dying man that has lost everything in his life, including his will to live. My people, this is what David Goggins had to say about failure, or what the fixed mindset people says being a failure in life. Let's take a listen.
That most of us have that you're talking about. If you don't have a conversation in there, the other voice that you create that says, okay, how does this look? Looks very ugly. That kind of conversation for me went away a long time ago, which is why the dialogue is now, which you see a lot of action, because most people have inaction, because there's one person talking. And that one person is always leading you down the same path, the path that makes you feel very comfortable and happy with yourself. The second you create the other voice, there's conflict. There's battles, there's wars, there's defeat. One thing I learned, I taught myself this, and people go, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm gonna try to break it down real quick. I didn't teach myself victory first. I taught myself failure. I taught myself how to fail. And people are like, that's so depressing. Is it? When you're 300 pounds and you can't read and write and you're fucked up, you know how many times you're gonna fucking fail on that process? So if you don't know how to fail, there is no victory. I never talked about winning, because I knew the path to winning was gonna be years of failing first. So I taught myself how to fail properly. No one teaches you how to fucking fail. But if you're going out for insurmountable fucking odds that make absolutely no fucking sense. A black kid that can't swim, 300 pounds, gonna be a Navy SEAL. Okay. You better teach yourself how to fail first. Because if you sit in failure for too long, you will never come out of it. So the first part of my success was learning how to fail properly. And then eventually, I started getting a few victories. But that's what people don't get. When you have buried yourself in such a deep fucking hole, you better first talk about the failures you're gonna have first. And that's when that other voice comes up. It tells you we gotta do something. It also tells you, boy, I'm not gonna lie to you, Goggins. You're in for a fucking climb, bro. You're gonna get your ass handed to you, made fun of, the outside noise, the inside noise. Both voices are gonna be fucking telling you to go fuck yourself. You are in for hell, bro. I am. So I better learn to fail.
So this is what you mean when you say that whatever anyone says, it's insignificant.
Insignificant as fuck.
Right. It's the cap gun fire because it's just like because the voice in your own head is far worse. And I should say, sorry, one of the voices in your head.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm being very like detailed, almost surgical about that because I think this thing about inner dialogue we think is one voice.
Yes.
But you're making it clear it's...
Ladies and gentlemen, oh boy, you will have to listen and watch the full conversation on the Huberman podcast to assimilate as much as possible from David Goggins. And I will leave the links in the description below. But to be honest, David Goggins' concept is truly a powerful testament to the human capacity to choose growth over despair and how powerful the mind can be. But the power of mindset doesn't stop there either. Let me share with you the story of Michael Santos, a man who faced the unimaginable and turned his life around in a way few could even dream of. You see, Michael Santos was just 23 years old when he was sentenced to 45 years in prison for drug trafficking. Were his future seemingly erased, many would have succumbed to hopelessness. But not for Michael. He made a decision, a pivotal choice, to use his time in prison to transform his life. He began by cultivating a growth mindset, focusing on 3 core objectives. 1, educating himself. 2, contributing to society. And 3, building a support network that could help him upon release. In the isolation of his prison cell, he read voraciously, earning his bachelor's and master's degrees right in prison. He wrote books, shared his story, and inspired others to find purpose even in the darkest places. By the time he was released after 726 years jail term, he had built a foundation of knowledge, influence, and opportunity that catapulted him to financial success. And guess what? He even became a millionaire whilst he was in prison. He became a millionaire whilst he was in prison.
Wow.
Michael didn't just survive prison. He thrived. He thrived within its walls, proving that growth and progress are possible even in the harshest conditions.
That's right.
My people, let's hear a snippet of Michael in his own words from an interview he had with a YouTuber named Snoosh as he shares his story.
Recognize they can become anything they want to become. I mean, I was in prison for 26 years, so if I could do it, anybody can do it. Yeah.
Prison for 26 years.
Yeah, so I was...
Just a little sneak peek. We're going to dive more into it later, but
for sure.
26 years and
so,
what happened?
So I, during the era of Scarface, I was your age or a young kid. I was 20 years old. I saw Scarface. I thought that'd be a cool way, you know, fast cars, hot chicks, Miami lifestyle. I pursued it. I believed that if I didn't handle the coke myself, I wasn't really breaking the law, just being totally ignorant of the system. So I hired my little buddies from high school and began transporting coke from Miami to Seattle and many cities in between. That lasted for about a year and a half. For a while, I moved to Marbella, Spain, thinking I was going to get away from it all after I'd earned enough money. But sure enough, I was indicted on what's called a sealed indictment. And when I came back to the United States, I was arrested on August the 11th, 1987. At that time in my life,
Before I was born,
at that time in my life, the only thing I wanted was to get out of prison. You know, it didn't work out that way. I made every bad decision a kid could make. I went to trial. I took the witness stand and lied and said I didn't do it. And you know, really taunted the prosecutor. Made every bad decision. I went to trial in Seattle. I was arrested in Miami, and didn't really recognize that a kid that age that had that lifestyle was, I could be convicted just on the lifestyle.
Right.
But in reality, I was guilty. A jury convicted me after a trial of about 5 weeks, and it was really at that moment that my life changed. I was locked in a solitary cell. I read the book of Frederick Douglass, a biography of a guy who was born into slavery, and when I read his story about how he used his life story to do something good for the world, that inspired me to want to do something good. And it drove me through 9,500 days in prison.
Wow. I know you were talking to me earlier. Now you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. The lessons that I learned in prison were really about how to think differently, how to live by a different philosophy.
Yes.
And how to try and serve others rather than just live for my own gratification. Read a lot of books. Like I said, Frederick Douglass was an inspiration, Socrates was an inspiration, Mandela was an inspiration, and they helped me believe that if I started thinking about people like you and have, say, a law-abiding, contributing citizen, I'd think about you when I'm locked in a solitary cell, and I'd say, is there anything that I can do while I'm in here that would cause Snooge, a leader, an influencer, to see me not as a coke dealer, but rather how I've responded to it.
I see.
And that led me to this three-pronged path. I said, what would Snooge want me to do? He'd want me to get an education. He'd want me to contribute to society in meaningful, measurable ways. And he'd want me to build a support network. And if I could do those three things, maybe Snooge would see me as not just a coke dealer and a criminal, but rather as somebody who could bring value to society.
I like that.
And that drove me through getting a bachelor's degree in prison, a master's degree in prison. I made my first $1 million while I was in prison.
Wow, that I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I made $1 million in prison. I got married in prison.
What the?
You know, my wife is here right now.
Way.
She comes on.
This story just keeps getting more and more.
Yeah, I got married in prison. I supported my wife in prison. I got out of prison. I came out with about 100. I'm the only guy who got out of prison and had to take a pay cut.
You're the only guy that got out of prison that became a millionaire in prison.
I know. There's my wife, Carol.
Hi.
Say hi, Carol. They'll always say, well, you're not the star of the story. It's Carol, the star of the story.
Definitely. For sure.
We built our life together, and the vision was always, when I come home, I'm going to use my story to change the prison system. And I'm really proud of that, because we incarcerate more people per capita than any other nation. Most of those people are people of color and people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. And I really feel passionately about helping them become successful. So I create things to help them.
Got you. So is that how you make?
So what do we learn from these extraordinary individuals? Dr. Viktor Frankl, Michael Santos, David Goggins, and my friend Mr. Wilfred. This is it. Your mindset is your most powerful asset and tool for change.
That's right.
And here are the key takeaways from today's conversation. 1. Mindset evolves. Your mindset isn't fixed. It's a journey. Accept failure as part of growth and make a conscious decision to strive for change. 2. The power of choice. As Dr. Frankl reminded us, everything can be taken from you except the freedom to choose your attitude in any given circumstances. Growth starts with this choice. 3. The inner voice. David Goggins spoke about 2 voices we all possess. The one that tells us we are failures and that we can't do it, and the winning voice that pushes us to overcome insurmountable challenges. You know, the secret is learning how to tune out the negative voice and strengthen the winning voice. This is done through discipline, self-awareness, and relentless perseverance. 4. Embrace failure as a tool. Goggins also emphasized learning to fail before you can start winning. Failure isn't a setback, it's actually a teacher. Each failure you face prepares you for the wins ahead if you choose to learn from them. 5. Embrace learning and growth. Michael Santos' story shows us that even in the most restrictive environment, education and self-improvement can set the stage for success. And finally, number 6, have a why. As Friedrich Nietzsche and Dr. Frankl highlighted, having a purpose, a why in life, gives you the strength to endure and thrive in any given situation.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will leave the links to full videos, podcasts, interviews, and clips, plus books and all other resources mentioned in this episode in the description below. And as we close this episode, remember that mindset is a tool, a gift we all possess, no matter our circumstances. Whether it's Dr. Frankl choosing hope in the concentration camp, or Michael Santos transforming his life in prison, or David Goggins silencing the doubting voice in his head, growth is always possible if you are willing to embrace the process. In our next episode, we will explore the concept of willpower and how it complements mindset to help you push past limits you never thought possible. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing. Thank you for stopping by, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and be a part of the family. It's been yours truly, Starphy, Starphy in the Curiosity. See you in the next episode.